like everybody else started. It was very DIY, and as you go, learning.
No. Believe me, it was much crazier because don't forget, this is Slovenia. We just went independent. No record stores. Like if you want to know how the music was made, it was impossible because there was no like I didn't know people who were listening to the music like I was listening to. How come? Where I would know how to produce. So basically I found out for this radio show called Cool Night. It was on Mondays. There were MC Brane, Primož Pečovnik and Aldo Ivančić. Those were three guys who were presenting like a techno, trance, EBM, and I was recording that. And then I found out that they had this club night in K4. And I went there once for Christmas Day because I said to my mom I'm gonna go to Jaslice, kako se reče, for church to see this crazy thing. I went to the club.
Okay. So this is like what? So the electronic music scene there must have just been born, was it? Sort of.
It was not even born. It was in a club with 50 people, maybe 100 people, you know.
Okay.
And it was not electronic scene. It was like when Aldo was playing these nights, he was playing like Front 242, Prodigy, Skinny Puppy, Night Rap, blah blah blah, Moby. Everything was on the same. Was all mixed up. And I went there, and then I found I met this guy Jure Havlicek. He just released a record on
Nong.
Space disco stuff, and I met him, and he was like, yeah, I'm making this music. I was like, how? He said, come, you'll see. And I went to his home, and then I saw like 909 and Juno 106 and 808 and everything, and I went totally crazy. And from that moment on, I knew this is what I'm gonna do. So I've done all the crazy jobs to get money for the equipment. You know?
So you started off as a producer or DJ? Were you DJing at this point?
No, actually I was DJ already before.
Okay.
I started DJing on matinee, how it's called. It's like it's a word for where young children actually gather for the party from 5 o'clock in the afternoon till 9 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, it's like a matinee, like a
exactly.
theatre.
So this is where I started to play when I was, I think, 14, 15 years old.
So how was finding records and stuff then? Though you said it was difficult.
It was actually those records were luckily in a club. Those DJs were having, but like they didn't have. They said they had some vinyls, but mostly they were cassettes. They were playing from cassettes.
Okay.
And at the time we had pirate studios. We were saying,
okay.
Like they were selling pirate cassettes.
Yeah.
Because the law in Slovenia was not made for.
Of course.
Now they are running the big labels in Slovenia, and they are in our
collective societies.
Collective societies, and they do Sazas, which is
collective society.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So those are actually the biggest pirates. They are running the business here in Slovenia. It's kind of funny, but cool. They know the job, of course. They were making and stealing the money for all these years. So who better to hire?
Although we must admit that they did kind of teach the whole generation, introduced to new music, because the closest decent record shop from here was Vienna or Munich.
I was going to say, and what was it like for electronic music then? Because I mean, I'm sort of emphasising this point because I know for you guys, it's I talked about it yesterday as well. For somebody in the UK who's never experienced like what it was like for you then, in terms of the scene there was no scene.
There was no scene, no information,
no
nothing.
Yeah.
It's basically I was so happy to get, like, for example, a cassette of a friend of a friend of a friend who like recorded me an album of Sweet Sensation is of oh my god, now I'm on blackout.
Sweet Sensation
is Shades of Freedom.
Yes.
Shades of Freedom are like one of my favorite bands. So basically, I got this cassette and I couldn't believe I got a like LP on a cassette. And one funny story to tell is, like, I was a huge Quadrophonia fan, and at the time there was a Quadrophonia just had one single out, and I met this guy in the club. Was a hip hop guy. Tricky sam pazi se mi na zvočnik. And was a hip hop guy, and I was asking him what he's listening to, and he was like, yeah, Eric B and Rakim, I don't know, Doug Lazy, blah blah blah, whatever. And I was saying, yeah, I know that stuff, and blah blah blah. And he was like, what are you listening? I said, I'm listening to Quadrophonia. I really love the single. And he was like, my girlfriend has an album. And at the time I was like, your girlfriend has an album of Quadrophonia which I cannot get a hands on, you know? And he was like, yes. And I was thinking, this guy must be exaggerating, because as I know, Quadrophonia doesn't have an album yet. So he said, oh, bring me the cassette at the time. So I brought him a cassette, and 2 weeks later I got a quadrophonia album. I went totally crazy. So it was like at the time you couldn't buy any kinds of electronic music. Like they had you could borrow CDs in Slovenia. You could go in a
library.
Library. You could go there, and they had like maybe 3 electronic CDs. It was a history of house music, history of Chicago, and something like that. So this was the only thing that they had. So we were so happy to get anything. So
it must have been really exciting.